Here from anywhere, it should be Malaysia. I suppose this was why Ma and Ikanyu and Amma had immigrated in the first place. I knew that Ma had been heavily pregnant with me when she got on the flight. She said she'd held on tight to her pelvic muscles to keep me in until they got to Australia. I was born the day after they arrived. Her extreme willpower meant that I got the passport, but I'd never quite got away from Malaysia, and I didn't know whether I wanted to or not. The plane to London began to toss and turn like an insomniac, and our food trays slid back and forth. Our chairs rattled like we were on a roller coaster, and a redundant turbulence announcement came on. The old man next to me yelped, while the boy on my other side held onto his armrests. I could tell they were worried we would disappear. As always, when something went wrong, I sat very still and did nothing. I thought about disappearing. It sounded quite pleasant to me. "You're fine there, are you?" the man said. "Yep," I said. "It's the Australian in you. Tough outback stuff." I'd never been called an Australian before. It was nice. The last time I'd really thought of myself as Australian had been in grade 1. It was play lunch. There were these older girls sitting in the crotch of the big tree. We called it the paper tree because of its soft, terrible bark. Ugly sunburnt skin on the outside, but when you peeled it off, it showed a secret peach colour. They told me to come play with them. Their faces were smooth as stones. They asked me what I was. When I told them I was Australian, they told me no. Then they sang a strange song that I'd never heard before. Ching chong, ching chong. They dragged the skin at their eyes back till they were cuts. They asked me to drag the skin of my eyes back, and I did it. They laughed, and I laughed because it was funny, and we were all good friends now. The weather was warm and the sun was gold, and I was happy. Much later on, Ma told me that when I was young, I thought I was white. I didn't want to be white or anything like that. I just thought that was what I was because I knew I was real. I knew I was real and not made up because sometimes I tested it. Sometimes I bit my lip till blood came out, and when the saltine pain came, I knew that I was non-fiction. I took the tube from Heathrow to Green Park Station. Green Park had deck chairs laid out and people were sunning themselves even though it was 12 degrees and looking like rain. I had only seen London in movies, and I was pleased to see it looked and felt the exact same in person as it did on screen. Grim and beautiful. This probably meant that I wasn't looking hard enough, but I was so tired of being clever. I was born clever because Ma was very sharp and shrewd, and Ikanyu was very thoughtful and deliberate, and they passed these qualities on to me. And like immigrants everywhere, they played without sheet music or instruments. Every song they sang was improvised from start to finish. So, I had that too, a certain kind of freedom. It was the only real resource I had been born with, and I exploited it fully. But I was starting to get sick of grinding my bones back into the dust to win scholarships and prizes and money and an existence. I was ready to enjoy the newborn pleasure of knowing nothing. The Philanthropic Society's clubhouse looked right onto Green Park. I knew from the pamphlet Leon had sent me before I arrived that it was in a Georgian building with yellow bricks. Rusticated coin darted up and down the sides. I love that new word, coin. There was a cartouche that showed 2 angels holding up a globe with a ship sailing across it, and, as if that wasn't enough, it had a festoon made of fruit and foliage dripping off of it. I walked up what I would have called the front steps, but I now knew was a portico, and peered at the ionic columns with their scrolling acanthus leaves. According to the guide, they meant eternal life, as well as sin and pain and punishment. That seemed to me like a lot of symbolic pressure for a thorny leaf. I was directed to my room and discovered it contained crystallised ginger biscuits on a plate, with scalloped edges and a teapot and a pen and a white dressing gown and letter-writing paper embossed with a crest that I'd seen on the cartouche. That made me happy. The long trip had caused a mysterious problem with my back to play up again. It was stiff and sore from sitting on the plane, and I massaged the places that burned bright with pain. Then I fell asleep. When I woke up, I had an email from Leon asking me to meet him in the clubhouse's foyer. He arrived in rolled-up shirt sleeves and the kind of linen shirt that is very nice when initially put on, but gets so creased it becomes...